everywhere. Hey everyone, glad that you're here. We have started a new series based on the Kleshas, and the Kleshas are written in the book of the Yoga Sutras, which is a compilation of all the yogic philosophy. And in the second chapter, it says life is suffering, but suffering can be avoided. And then it starts to talk about the types of suffering. It puts it into 5 different categories. This week we're on the third one. So the first one was avidya, which means ignorance or illusion. It's the not knowing, just not knowing the full state of reality, not knowing the true self or the nature of the true self. You know, we have this whole mystique. But we don't know everything. We're limited on what we know. And so basically everything can kind of fall under that one category. However, it starts to explain a little bit more. And then it goes into the second one, which we discussed last week, which is asmrita, which is the ego. We know the ego can create some issues, right? We can have an abundance of or excessive amount of energy in the solar plexus, which is the seat of the ego, which can inflate the ego and make us feel like more than, but we can also have a deficiency of energy here, which, by the way, this is considered the second brain as well as the seat of the ego, that makes us feel less than, less confident or insecure, making us question ourselves. So we know that that can create suffering on either end of the spectrum. And this week we're talking about the Raaga, and Raaga is, Raaga basically, I just went blank. It's attachments. Thank you. Thank you for sending me the energy. It's attachments. So we discussed heavily on Monday. In fact, I opened up the floor on Monday and I was like, before I started the recording even, I was like, let's talk about attachments. What attachments do you have that could create some suffering? And you guys gave some really great examples. We mentioned it could be towards places and location. We actually had someone who had just moved here and she had left everything she had ever known or was familiar with to completely start over. Imagine the attachment back to the original place. We discussed children and how children can grow up and break our hearts because they're not living up to our expectations. Expectations can create disappointments. The disappointments can create, you know, a level of suffering. Even just letting our children go and to set them free to be their own person. Hopefully it turns out well, but you know, we're not in control of it. And it could also be towards the attachment towards what we think should be, right? How many times have you heard people say since the pandemic, I just want things to go back as they were. I just want things to go back to normal. Things are not going to go back to normal. Things are changing. There's an immense shift happening on the planet, an immense shift happening energetically, even within us. We see this kind of explosion of polarity right now, and it's having to happen to wake us up, to move us out of the old, and to bring us into something new. We're in that stage of kind of the process that hurts, right? The chaos that hurts before there's a positive change. So please stay holding the hope, keep maintaining and shining your light, because we need positive energy, we need positive vision, we need good attitudes to propel us out of this dark spell that we've been in. So attachments can also be when we're chasing pleasure, when we're wanting gratification, when we're wanting to stay in our comfort zone, right? So for instance, I'm the youngest of 4 girls. And 2 of my sisters, you know, stayed in the same hometown, married boys from the same hometown. Their children grew up in the same hometown. They're very attached to their way of living. They're very attached to everything that's conditioned them, right? And then two of us broke away from that. And we've had more kind of, well, just different lives. I'm not gonna say more exciting, just different types of lives. We just went on a completely different path. And one of my sisters gets very jealous of that. And then she's very snide in her comments, like leading a retreat somewhere. You know, well, I wish I could lead a retreat. I wish I could do that, you know, and she gets kind of an attitude about it. Well, she's choosing to stay in her comfort zone. I chose to break out of the comfort zone. Basically, that's just attachments. But we all have attachments. If you're chasing pleasure, you know, like I have an attachment to yoga. If yoga was taken away from me, I would probably go insane. It is what I use for my mental health. This is what I use for my emotional clearing. Yoga and meditation is a way for me to open and expand my heart so that I don't stay stuck in those hurt places. Now, something we didn't talk about Monday, the attachments can lead to addiction. Because when you just think about attachments and comfort zones, there's no suffering there, really, right? But if you think about, well, I really need my social drinking, and that could eventually become a problem, right? There's been a lot of people that discovered they were creating that through the pandemic. And then they've been waking up to it and going, okay, I've been doing too much drinking at home. So now I need to minimize that a little bit, right? Because that attachment can potentially create suffering because it can lead to possible addiction. That can happen with gambling, right? Somebody gambles and they win like, you know, $50,000, right? Well, they're going to want to get that fix and get that high again and again and again because they want to, if they won it one time, chances are they're going to win again. And they don't mean to go down that slippery slope. It just happens because when we repeat something over and over again, then that draws us in and it can create a habit. The last thing I want to mention about attachments that I want you to be contemplative about. I have this, I love that there's trauma sensitive yoga. I really, really do. Because so many people have severe trauma. And people need to be nurtured and looked after and taken care of. And it's a way to lead them into yoga with those people's vulnerabilities and sensitivities. At the same time, though, you can't keep them in trauma sensitive yoga. Because if you're keeping them in trauma sensitive yoga, and I'm just using this as an example, when are they ever going to overcome the trauma? When are they ever going to overcome those triggers? Do you see what I mean? The attachment is to the trauma. And so one thing that I love about yoga and meditation, I have a lot of trauma, just like everybody else. And yoga has helped propel me out of that trauma, out of the PTSD from the trauma. So that's what I also encourage you to look at. What is the trauma that you're attached to? Are you playing victim? Is that part of your attachment? I'm a victim of this person. I'm a victim of that situation. Where's the freedom in that? So the goal of yoga and meditation is true liberation. We have to confront our fear. We have to confront our anger. We have to confront that trauma. We have to lean into it in order to heal. So it's the whole, we have to feel, to deal, to heal. So that's the lesson for today. So we're going to, no small feet, right? So we're going to have your strap close back. We're going to start with our backs. Lying down in a corpse position. And I would suggest resting your hands on the belly. And go ahead and begin to embrace your breath. Merge with your breath. Merging so that you're not just observing, but beginning to control it. Deepening the inhale as well as the exhale. Bringing in a sweeter quality by smoothing it out, making it rhythmic. Notice as you pay attention to your breath, how you sink into your body. How you can drop out of your head and more into your heart. The more you practice this on the mat, the easier it is to use the breath this way when we're off the mat. Even when you're driving, even when you're lost, even when you're confused, even when you're inundated with stress or concern or fear, this breath can be your best friend, your greatest support system. The more you practice this type of breath work, you'll find that moments where you need to ground, moments where you need to calm yourself, moments where you need to, trust and surrender because the situation may be out of your control. You'll discover the gifts and the medicines that you discover here. Be contemplative for a moment. Have you been chasing something that was satisfying in the past, but yet it seems fleeting and you can't quite maintain it? Is it possible to just let it go? This non-clinging, this non-grasping, this non-attachment shows up not once, but several times in yogic philosophy. It's an important practice. We're going to be using a strap today because think about cords and attachments usually have some strings attached. So let's go ahead and begin to pull the feet closer together. Let's draw the right knee in towards the upper body. Take the lasso or the loop of the strap around the sole of the foot. And then straighten your right arm as much as possible towards your foot. Push the heel skyward, spread the toes wider open. Extend long through your left leg, push down through your left thigh bone. And from Padangusthasana A, go ahead and begin to open the leg away from the body, off to the right side. Continue to fire into the left leg so that as you're firing into the left leg, the hips stay more stable. Breathe into the inseam of the right leg. Flex that ankle a little bit more, drawing the toes back towards your shoulder. Inhale, bring that leg skyward again. Scoop the abdomen in, peel the head off the floor, lifting the head up towards the knee. Slide your left hand down your left thigh. Padangusthasana C. As you exhale, you can gently lower the head back to the ground. Cross the leg over the midline, swapping hands to hold the strap. Take your right arm off to the right side, palm open. Pause with the leg just crossing over the belly, keeping the sacrum flat to the ground. Warming up that IT band, and then on your next out breath, go ahead and roll to your left hip. Take a spinal rotation. Reaching out through the right limbs, sending them away from one another. Inhale, draw the leg back up to the top. And then exhale, remove the strap with your left hand. Take your right hand to the right knee. The right calf is parallel to the floor. And you're in the modified variation. Open your right hip again. Another variation of Padangusthasana B. Keep the buttocks stationed. Inhale, draw the knee back in. Lightly pull it in towards the chest. And then release the right leg all the way out and down. Left knee draws in next. Strap's going to hook around that foot. Sail it up in the air. Extend your left arm so the hand's close to the foot, pushing the heel upward, drawing the toes downward, activating the right leg. So one thing we're going to be a little focused on today is hamstrings and heartstrings. So we'll be working with the lower body, we'll be working with some heart opening poses. I think our heartstring attachments are probably the hardest attachments to release. All right, go ahead and fan the leg to the side. So remember, the legs are about past conditioning. It's about our sense of safety and security, our family roots. So when we deal with any type of trauma, it usually, stems from our past. It also shows up in the hips due to the iliopsoas muscle corresponding so closely to the sympathetic and parasympathetic nervous system. Draw the left toes back towards the shoulder first before lifting the leg upward. Scoop the belly in, peel the head off the floor. Padangusthasana C. Lower the head back down, swap hands to hold the strap. Left arm can reach out shoulder height and cross the leg over the midline initially. And then maintaining your light of awareness, paying attention to where things are showing up in your body. This may clue you in on how life is showing up, especially if you know about meridians or energetic anatomy like chakras. Go ahead and steal that leg even farther down towards the floor, twisting more through the back. Deep belly breath. Inhale all the way back up to the top. Exhale, remove the strap, bend the left knee, keep that shin parallel to the floor, and then Padangusthasana B, this variation. Opening the knee, again, abducting it away from the body. Draw the knee back in towards your chest, and then lower the left foot to the floor, and then slide your right foot back to join. All right, bring your arms beside your body, palms stationed down to the ground, and inhale, tuck the tailbone, lift thighs, hips, abdomen, and chest. Keeping your thighs rolling into each other as you create your Setu Bandhasana. You can be more dynamic than this if you prefer. So make sure your glutes are firing up, your hamstrings are firing up. This should be a strengthening pose for the hamstrings. This is toning for the buttocks. And then see if it's possible to press down through your outer arms and shoulders. Can you lift your pelvis? Can you lift your ribs or chest a little higher? Feel the strength occurring in your back muscles. And then exhale, gently roll down one vertebra at a time. Once you roll down, take your happy baby pose, Ananda Balasana, picking up the feet, taking a hold of them with your hands. The knees are splayed open. Your vertebrae is planted down to the mat. And feel free to close your eyes and just pay attention between the two sides. Come home to your breath. Are you still befriending and using your breath the proper way? Pranayama can hold the magic in the practice. So don't lose sight of it. And just as we're looking in at the breath and looking in at ourselves through times of being contemplative, keep doing the self-study and being the question concerning your attachments to people, places, things, possessions, ideas, beliefs, opinions. And gently roll over to one side of your body. When you roll over to one side of your body, come up to take a seat. We're going to do a side bend, and then we're going to come up to stand. Let's use the strap since we have it handy today. Fold it in half, and then place your hands shoulder distance apart. We're going to inhale, lift the arms up overhead, carrying the strap with us. Waking up some of the muscles in our back, especially those erector muscles alongside the spine. I feel it just under the base of my shoulder blades too. That may be the rhomboid muscles kind of underneath. Gently curve to one side of the body. One more deep breath. Affirming here, strength and courage fill up my body cells, the strength and courage to look in and to face my attachments, the strength and the courage to know when it's creating suffering, and then practicing this concept of learning how to let go. Inhale, rise up to the top, exhale, curve to the other side. Lifting up and through the strap. Keeping the arms more or less alongside your ears. Breath still nice and full. Strength and courage fill up my body cells. Inhale, come back to the top. Exhale, bring the strap just behind the head. Imagine you're passing the strap towards someone behind you. Allowing that tension to release from the trapezius zone. Inhale, lift the arms overhead, and exhale, bring them down. All right, we're going to use that strap later, but for now, we're going to go ahead and come up to stand. And we'll come to the top of the mat. Position the feet down, line up the legs, use your bandhas, hands to heart center. Inhale, lift the arms up overhead to upward worship. Exhale, we're going to swan dive today, spreading the wings as we fold into self. Now pay attention here. This may not feel quite as tight because we did the warm up on our back, opening up through the lower body, but see if you can still magnetize the heart to lower down towards your knees or shins. Loosen up your neck so it's not working unnecessarily. Inhale, pick yourself halfway. Exhale, roll back down, belly, chest, face, affirming nothing and no one on this earth can hold me down or back. But consider how our attachments can sometimes hold us down or back, which is why it's important to recognize. Inhale, we're going to step back to plank. From plank position, exhale back to downward facing dog. From Adho Mukha Svanasana, power down through the palms, lift up and out through your seats. Hang the head between the arms.
Exhale, drop to knees, chest, chin, Ashtanga Pranam. Inhale, slither through to a high cobra if possible, and you use your arms to assist. But keep your tops of your thighs, pubic bone to the floor. Lift up through the pelvis, rock back into extended child's pose. And then inhale, rock up to hands and knees. When you rock it to hands and knees, we're going to roll open into cow tilt. And as we exhale, we round it back into cat stretch, hollowing out the belly and chest. Inhale, expand through the belly and chest. And then exhale, contract and hollow it out. We'll do one more. Now come to a flat back. Walk your hands out in front of you for puppy. We're going to be building up to a pose that's going to need open shoulders, open chest. So have your puppy pose where your armpits, your shoulders are still lifting up, your belly is still suctioning in, your ribs are cinching in your front body. And then exhale, you're going to drop and melt down, loosening the grip in the front body, maybe even looking down the length of your mat. Surrender into your shoulder joints. If it's difficult for your neck to rest lightly on the chin, feel free to come to your brow instead. So October is almost done. But October is also Breast Cancer Awareness Month. And an extended child's pose on a Hatasana, downward facing dog. These are some great poses to help to promote better breast health. Inhale, you're going to draw in through your navel, draw in and up through your low ribs, lift up through your armpit area, come back to puppy and pause. Slide your hands back up underneath your shoulders, curl your toes under, rock back to downward facing dog. From downward facing dog, take a deep breath in, slow breath out. And then yogi's choice, you can walk, lunge, or float through to Ardha Uttanasana at the top. Exhale, spill back down. Lessening that tightness in the back of the legs. Decompressing the low back. Releasing any excess unnecessary thoughts from the mind. Inhale, root down to come to upward worship again. Exhale, release. Uttanasana, you're standing forward fold. Inhale, lift and lengthen halfway up. Good. Exhale, lower right back in. Nothing no one on this earth can hold me down or back. Inhale, stepping into your plank. Streamlining the arms. Exhale, downward facing dog. Inhale, descend down to your knees. Exhale, Ashtanga Pranam, as though you're about to kiss the ground. Inhale, slither through to a cobra, but we're going to line up in Sphinx. So from baby cobra, then we're turning the arms ahead of you into Sphinx pose. We're going to draw the feet in, point the toes. You don't have to work too hard with that, just a light. We'll keep rooting through the elbows, fly the heart higher. Exhale, lower the feet to the floor. Turn your left forearm in front, bring your right heel back in, tag a hold of the foot, and then gently press it down towards your outer thigh or hip. Half frog. We're gonna release that attachment of the hand to the foot. We're gonna bring the right arm in front, turn the head over the left shoulder. So try not to angle the heel towards the tailbone or the center of the body. You're bringing it towards the outseat of the body. Press down to the right forearm, lift the head and heart higher if your back allows. One last breath here. Exhale, release. We're going to come down to the forehead. Inhale, push up. Exhale, rock back, extended child's pose. Keep the elbows lifted, the arms elongated. Inhale, rocking up to hands and knees. When you rock up to hands and knees, we're coming back to puppy pose. Arms sail in front, ears right inside the upper arm bones. Remember, we're not sinking down yet. Front body's hugging in. And now exhale, spill down, reminding us about the art of letting go. We're using the muscles before, now we're coming more into the connective tissue. Softly surrendering towards the ground. Inhale, suction in through the lower upper abdomen, the low mid ribs, lift in the shoulders, bow the head, puppy. Inhale, slide the hands back to tabletop position. All right, from tabletop position, you're going to take your left foot and shin, yes, away from your midline. You're going to stand on the right foot, straightening the leg, and uplifting the right arm in the air. Okay? Now, at any point, if you need to take pause in these positions, you can. But see if you can fly the right foot up and flex it. Good. See if you can draw the heel back towards you and grab the top of the foot with your right hand. Good. Now see if you can push the foot into the hand. So the foot is now pushing away from the body and your head can lean back and you're creating kind of a back bend. Like a half a bow. And the hand that's attached to the foot, the shoulder that's opening up, is like the string of the bow. Good. Exhale, release. This time when you release and come down, you're going to flip your right palm open and you're going to thread and loop it under the left arm. Being active, so piercing the navel in, pressing lightly through the left hand, rolling slightly more towards the right shoulder blade. Inhale, come up, and return to table. We'll do that sequence to the other side. So the right shin and foot will come off the mat. We'll turn to the left, straighten the left leg, flatten the foot to the ground, and reach the left arm skyward. Remember, you have an option to discern what is best for you and your body, and it may be staying right here. If you want to play with balance, pick up the left foot. To exhale, bend that knee, take the left hand behind, maybe taking a hold of the foot. And it's okay if you can't quite find the foot. And it's also perfectly acceptable if you use the strap to lasso the foot. Then send the foot back into the hand, Create more of a back bend, more of a bow. Breathe. I love B.K.S. Iyengar's quote, the body is the bow, the asanas are the arrows, and the target is the soul. The pose is not the most important thing here. It's really the theme and what we've been discussing. Release that, come back to tabletop, bringing the right shin back, open the left palm, thread and loop it underneath, sinking down towards the left ear. Feel free to bring a little bit more action in. Merge with your breath. Good. Unwind from that twist. Curl the toes under. Launch into downward facing dog. And from Adho Mukha Svanasana, look forward down the lane of your mat. You can determine, do I want to walk? Do I want to lunge? Do I want to float to Ardha Uttanasana? And then exhale, release. Inhale all the way up, upward worship. And exhale, swan dive back into Uttanasana. We're going to do one more flow. Inhale, come halfway up. Exhale, bow out. Inhale, take plank. Exhale, down dog. Inhale, you can sink to the knees. Exhale, Ashtanga Pranam. Inhale, come through and up to upward facing dog. Keeping the knees on the floor. Exhale, push back. Extended child's pose. Inhale, rock forward, keep the knees to the ground, upward facing dog. And exhale, roll it down to the belly. All right, we're drawing the heels in. We're gonna do your favorite pose. I'm just kidding. This is not my favorite pose, but it may be yours. We take the hands to attach to the front sides of the feet or ankles. And we're gonna inhale, rise to Dhanurasana. Now, here is another version, if you need, to make it a little bit more restorative, where you keep your thighs on the floor, bolster up underneath the front side of the hips, in case you need that. Let's do one more breath. Exhale, bring it down. Hands underneath the shoulders. Push up to table. When you come to table, we're taking cat stretch, because we need a good counter after bow. Notice the introspective nature of this pose. Inhale, slowly come to table. Good, walk the hands forward. Recreating your puppy. And it's nice to really get familiar with puppy, because there are times where we need this modification for downward facing dog. And that's where we have to come onto the mat and we have to be clear with where we're at physically or emotionally or mentally at any given moment to determine, you know, are we too attached to always doing downward facing dog the exact same way? Or do we need this instead? Exhale, let's melt down Anahtasana. Affirming, I open myself to the art of letting go. Inhale, suction up through the lower upper belly, cinch in through the low mid ribs. Let the head release between the upper arms, returning to puppy. Slide your hands back. Inhale to table. Exhale to downward facing dog. And then from Adho Mukha Svanasana, let's all take a cleansing breath. Inhale through the nose. Exhale through the mouth. And when you're ready, walking, stepping, lunging to the top, Ardha Uttanasana. Exhale, free fall down and in. Inhale all the way up. And exhale, hands come home so you home to the heart. Pause with your eyes closed. Affirming salutations to the sun, to the awakening light within, to the dawning of a much higher state of consciousness in all beings. That higher state of consciousness is recognizing and realizing when we need to let go, when the attachments are creating disappointments, dissatisfaction, or suffering. Watch the eyes. Open the eyes. And now we get to move to a wall. Bring the strap with you. All right, before we use the strap, we're gonna line up so that the right side body is somewhat close to the wall. You're not touching the wall. Make sure the toes are pointed straight ahead, your feet are square, and you're gonna slide the right arm up behind your back. The palm is flat to the surface. Try to maintain some good posture. Try to keep the chin parallel to the floor. Close the eyes a moment and breathe into that connected tissue. So this is physically opening up these connective tissues. But we can physically, but also metaphorically, open and expand the heart. Usually the suffering with heartstring attachments is when we have loss. You know, when a relationship ends, or when someone transitions to the next plane, or when someone betrays us somehow, some way. We open and expand our hearts to forgive, to let go, to move on, to move forward. And release. All right, we'll spin the body. Left side faces the wall. Left arm is going to slide up behind. Rounding the feet. Stacking the legs. Lifting the crown up. Softening the jaw. Finding your breath. More or less restriction here. Don't judge, just be aware. So what we're going to be moving into is, okay, so there's a difference between dancing Shiva, and dancer's pose. Okay, so dancing Shiva is the one where we hold the foot. And we're hinging forward like this, okay? So there's not as much of a hinge forward with the dancer's pose. And instead of just holding the foot, this is just a simple hold when we're in dancing Shiva. The King Dancer's pose, the heart is up and the foot is reaching up and out. So we're going to use a strap to assist with the attachment of where the hand should be with the foot. We're going to stand strong on the left leg. And I'll go ahead and show you. Let me demonstrate really quick, because we haven't done this in a while. When you lasso the foot, you're holding it in your hand like this. But then we bring the arm up over the shoulder. Now you can lean the left shoulder to the wall to take that hand back. But you see, I'm not hinging forward as much. I'm keeping the heart open. And then we eventually let go of the attachment. We loosen the grip of the strap and the foot comes down. Okay? Let's try it. Have the left side body facing the wall. About the same proximity or distance you were before. Lasso the foot. An open palm to hold the strap. Slide the hand up, bring the elbow up alongside your ear. Yes. Then reach the left arm up the wall. Hand down to grab the strap. Lift your foot up and out. You do hinge slightly from the hips, but your heart is open, you're facing forward, and you're breathing. Now, soften the grip of the strap. Lower the foot down. Let go of the attachment. Okay. Other side. Any questions with that? It's not easy.
It's harder than it looks.
Yes. It is harder than it looks. Now, some people make it look really easy and they have both hands holding the foot and it's touching the back of their head.
Oh. Dancers.
Yes.
Yeah, you're right.
Ballet dancers.
Yes. We had one on Monday. I bet you
Circle
could
the
do it.
way. BKS Iyengar has a beautiful photo doing it. So it's not just dancers, it's yogis too. Bring the arm up. Right arm reaches up. Find the strap. Hinge slightly from the hips. But your heart shines directly ahead. Breathe. And then release the grip of the strap. Return the strap back to the floor. You can stay here at the wall. Because after a back bend, what do we always do? A counter pose, right? We're gonna do legs at the wall. Because think about hamstrings, heartstrings. That's what we've been kind of working with today. You know, releasing, what I really wanted to emphasize, can we release the trauma from our past? And that was both hamstrings, but also with the hips, as well as opening up the heart. So let's come down. And I'll put the sand back on your feet if you want. Thank you. You're gonna come down to the corner of your mat so you can roll on top of it, lining the legs up the wall. Now, since we did a lot of work with the shoulders, you may just want your hands resting again on your abdomen. But you also do have the option of forming whatever position you prefer and whatever feels freeing and good in the moment. So once you get settled with legs up the wall, once you find a proper position for your arms and hands, close the eyes, return to your breath. However, the breath doesn't necessarily need to be under your command anymore. You can let it go. I'm going to share with you a little commentary. A key insight of yoga philosophy is that it's only when we let go of attachments that we are truly able to appreciate people, things, and events as they are, untainted by our personal judgments and agendas, because personal judgments and agendas can lead us to failed expectations. Swami Satchidananda would say that the beginning of disappointment is when we make appointments or contracts with ourselves. When I have to do this, I will be happy. When I get to obtain this, I will be happy. So enjoy the present moment without fabricating the future. Detach. Trust and surrender to the now.
a deep breath in. Slow breath out. Sliding the feet down the wall. Rolling over to one side. And pressing your way up to sit. But when you take a seat, sit with back support and your leg straight. Let your hands rest palms open somewhere on your lap. Close the eyes. Do a little breathing meditation. Moving our right index finger up on the inhale. And dropping it, releasing it on the exhale. Inhale, lifting forefinger. Exhale. And adding in hum on the inhale, mentally in your mind. And saw on the exhale as you release the finger. Hum, saw. Hum, saw. Hum, saw. Let's continue that process. Arrive to a place. Movement, mantra, synced together. You have synced with your breath, mark with that place. Peace and contentment. And let the technique go. Practice. My soul recognizes your soul. And the light, the love within me, honors and bows respectfully to the love and light within each of you. I didn't want to get out of meditation. I want it to continue, but I know we're on time parameters. Oh, have a beautiful day.